you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV. So keep it locked, because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time, because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that die, because VOP is the plot.
2564 is coming up on Burning 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
From the views on the street,
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation.
Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndomdioto. Before we begin the news, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Here are the headlines. Musa takes office and promises security reforms.
And police arrest arms couriers, rescue kidnapped victim in Kwara.
Sokoto police arrest bandit financiers.
Bomb kills 4 teenagers in Borno.
Supreme Court dismisses Osun local government fund case.
Also, APC screening committee bars Mishore 6 other aspirants.
On the foreign scene, United States sets deadline for Europe-led NATO.
Well, in business news, NIESV inducts new members.
In sport, NFF hails Ekong on its national retirement.
In the world of entertainment, Tubaba refutes reports of mental illness.
Now the news and details. Christopher Musa has assumed office as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense, outlining a vision focused on operational effectiveness, unified action across services, and strategic foresight with the ultimate goal of ending the bloodshed of innocent Nigerians. Musa, who previously served as Chief of Defense Staff, promised to lead with urgency, accountability, and a renewed sense of national purpose. He said a rigorous review of all theater commands and inter-service operations would begin immediately to close gaps between policy and execution, stressing that national security requires collective ownership. The minister also emphasized the welfare of military personnel and their families, pledging swift action to ensure troops receive proper equipment, operational allowances, accommodation, and medical care, particularly for the injured and bereaved families. Musa highlighted the importance of technology and intelligence in Nigeria's defense architecture and pledged to strengthen partnerships with allies and coordination with other security agencies. In his remarks, Permanent Secretary Richard Finlangwa described Musa's appointment as a significant moment for the ministry and the nation's security, while the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, said it marked a new phase of unity and collective action in tackling Nigeria's security challenges.
Well, turning to other stories, the Kwara State Police Command has arrested 5 suspected arms couriers linked to bandit groups and rescued a kidnapped victim in separate operations across the state. At a press briefing in Ilorin, Commissioner of Police Adekimi Ojo said officers recovered 100 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, assorted charms, and digital evidence tied to kidnapping syndicates. He called the arrests a major breakthrough and said efforts are ongoing to find the intended recipient of the weapons. In a separate incident, police rescued a woman named Aishata, who was abducted by 4 armed men in Obate village. The operations come amid rising fears over a surge in kidnappings across Patigi, Moro, Asa, and Ifelodun local government areas, where gangs exploit porous forest routes and border corridors.
In a related development, the Sokoto State Police Command has arrested 3 suspected bandit financiers and several others linked to motorcycle theft and criminal conspiracy, recovering rustled cattle and stolen motorcycles in 2 coordinated operations. DSP Ahmad Rufai, the command's public relations officer, said the success of the operations highlights the police's renewed operational effectiveness. Rufai added the Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Musa, commended the operatives for their professionalism, vigilance, and dedication in both internal and cross-state operations. He urged residents to continue to provide timely and credible information, ensuring that all tips shared with the police will be treated with strict confidentiality.
On a sad note now, 4 teenagers have died in an explosion involving an improvised explosive device in Banki, Bamaluku government area of Borno State. Police confirmed the device went off behind Banki Motor Park in Wajiri Ward. Authorities say the teens were reportedly playing with the device after picking it from the bush. The police public relations officer Nahum Daso said normalcy has returned to the area and investigations are ongoing.
May their souls rest in peace. Now to legal matters. The Supreme Court has dismissed a suit filed by the Osun State Attorney General Oluwole Jimi Bada against the Attorney General of the Federation Lateef Fagbemi over withheld allocations to the state's local government. In a 6-1 split decision, the Apex Court ruled that the Osun State AG had no legal right to file the case on behalf of the 30 local governments. The court held that only duly elected and inaugurated local government officials can sue or be sued directly. Justice Muhammad Idris, delivering the lead judgment, said the federal government was wrong to withhold the funds, calling the action a breach of the 1999 Constitution, and urged that allocations be paid directly into local government accounts. The court also dismissed the AGF's contempt allegations against Osun, noting that the federal government had failed to release the funds as required by law. In a dissenting opinion, Justice Emmanuel Ajem argued that the Osun AG did have the right to bring the case and criticize the federal government for withholding funds, saying it could cripple local government operations.
Well, staying with Osun State, the All Progressives Congress Screening Committee has disqualified former APC National Secretary Ayola Mishore and 6 other aspirants from contesting the Osun State governorship primary scheduled for the 13th of December, citing gaps and irregularities in their nomination documents. In its report, the committee urged stakeholders to reconcile their differences to ensure party unity, noting that resolving disputes is essential for a credible primary. INEC has fixed the Osun governorship election for the 8th of August 2026. The disqualified aspirants, the former Deputy Governor Mishore, Babatunde Oralusi, Oyetunde Babayemi, Akin Benedict, as well as others, were said to have failed to provide proof of sponsorship from at least 5 fully registered and financially up-to-date party members in each local government area.
Still in the news, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the 16 River State lawmakers who defected from the PDP are free to leave the party. Speaking to journalists, Wike added that his camp will continue to work with the remaining lawmakers who remain loyal to the PDP. Defections, including Speaker Martins Amawelu, occurred during a plenary session on Friday when the lawmakers announced the move to the ruling All Progressive Congress. The former River State governor described the development as unfortunate, attributing it in part to the party's internal crisis.
Now, this report says that President Bola Tinubu has approved the boards of the National Agricultural Development Fund, the Bank of Agriculture, and the Universal Basic Education Commission. A special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed the appointments in a statement. Senator Umaru Tanko Al-Makura, appointed in July, retains his position as chairman of UBEC. Board members representing the 6 geopolitical zones will serve an initial 4-year term, including Ibiwumi Akinola for the southwest, Meru Mandura for the northeast, Abdul Imam Salawa for the northwest, and Paul Ibukunlu for the north central. At the Bank of Agriculture, Mohammed Babangida was confirmed as chairman, with Ayo as managing director. 3 executive directors and 5 non-executive directors were also appointed to reflect the geopolitical zones. For the National Agricultural Development Fund, Bellum Sido was named board chairman, alongside other zonal representatives who will help drive affordable financing for farmers and agripreneurs.
Moving on, President Bola Tinubu received the credentials of India's new High Commissioner to Nigeria, Abhishek Singh, at the presidential villa in Abuja on Thursday. The Indian High Commission said the presentation of the letter of credence officially begins his diplomatic assignment in Nigeria. Tinubu graciously received the ambassador and extended his congratulations and best wishes. Singh reaffirmed India's commitment to deepening ties with Nigeria, describing the 2 countries as strategic partners. The High Commissioner said it will continue to work to expand cooperation in the years ahead.
Well, joining us virtually to analyze this news is Opayemi Ogunlami. He is a human rights activist. Opayemi, welcome aboard. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me with you tonight.
Thank you for coming aboard. So let's hit the ground running, shall we? Christopher Musa has assumed office as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense, outlining a vision focused on operational effectiveness, unified action across services, and strategic foresight, with the ultimate goal of ending the bloodshed of innocent Nigerians. Now he is talking tough. Do you think he's going to deliver?
Nigeria has gone beyond talking. People that were there in the past. They talked, even some even talked more than this. Let's see, let him hit the ground rolling. Let the work begin. If he is capable enough, according to what the president has said, let us see how vibrant and how effective his period will be as against his predecessors. So it shouldn't be talking, it should be more of action. That's just my position. And thinking it will do better, well, I will not say he cannot do better. I will not say he can do better. But let us see what he is capable of doing first. That's all I've got to say about him.
Okay, you know that some persons have actually said it's not just about his capability or his capacity. It is more about him being given the wherewithal or being given the power by, of course, not just power, but being allowed to do the right thing. What do you make of this? Of course, by the president and, you know, the people who rule Nigeria.
You ended your word with people who rule Nigeria. It means that some people actually rule Nigeria apart from the people in our offices. And I like that one. One thing is to have the mantle, and not, I mean the office. Another thing is being able to use the mantle. So let's see if the people who put him in place would actually allow him to work. Let's see if his good image, his supposed good image that brought him to office will also be effective and be satisfied. I hope Nigerians too will be satisfied with his service. Let's see what he's able to do. But I know for sure, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I know for sure that the power that be will still obstruct the services of effective people in Nigeria. Let's see what he could do.
All right, Kwame, let's take you to Kwara State, where the police command has arrested 5 suspected arms couriers linked to bandit groups and rescued a kidnapped victim in separate operations across the state. I mean, not too long ago, 38 worshippers were kidnapped and shortly after released in the same Kwara State. And now the police actually has scored another one for themselves. Would you say that the security operatives in Kwara are doing well and we might begin to see the beginning of the end for the bandits and kidnappers?
Where I will put it is this. Are we not watching a stage drama in Nigeria where there will be kidnapping and then there will be a release after a short while? And then I so much know that the kidnapping or banditry that we have seen so far, they also have levels. They also have their grounds. Whoever isn't strong enough will be dealt with. Whoever is strong enough will be negotiated with. Let me put it that way. So at this moment, talking about the level of security that the security operatives of Kwara State is doing enough to curb it, time will tell. Because we need to, when Nigeria tells you, oh, we are successful here, you need to go and check that success. The foundation of this country has been built on lies over the years. And then it will take time for Nigerians to believe that the little success is actually a true success. We cannot really say where this kind of things, insecurity is looming on a daily basis. They will tell you they have victory in a small space. They will tell you, oh, there is a kind of shortcoming. We would try our best. But at this time, let's still praise them for the little success they have, if truly it is not a staged drama.
Okay, let's take you to Sokoto, where the State Police Command has arrested 3 suspected bandit financiers and, of course, several others linked to motorcycle theft and, of course, criminal conspiracy and all of that. Do you think that this is more about, this suggests better intelligence penetration into the bandit network? Do you think that this is, you know, them actually working well and ensuring that they get all of this done?
For this time, Nigeria, if not, let me not put it as the entire population of Nigeria. Nigerian government in particular knows the financier of bandits, Boko Haram, and this terrorist group. Over the years, they know what they are and who they are. In fact, they know those that are in government that are supporting them. So if I say that it's a good step that they've got to know them, they've known them years before now. So and then if in any way there is any announcement from any quarter that social people or persons are financing it and their names are mentioned, it must have been that behind the closed door, some things had actually transpired. So they know. All I just know is Nigeria is just a crime scene where anybody will do anything and government will also do its own to cover up. So let them keep telling us, let them keep playing us if the next 4 years belongs to them, or let me say the next 5 years belongs to them, let them keep having. But at this time, I think the government of Nigeria shouldn't toil with the lives of people. We should start placing value on the lives of common Nigerian, and then we'll hop up our game security wise. That's all I've got to say. Yeah.
Opemi, I want us to take note of something my colleague Nina said earlier on. She talked about intelligence, right? This new defense minister said something along that line, that they're going to be investing a lot on intelligence gathering and all of that. So my question to you is that so that the nation is not reacting to, cases of insecurity, for it to be proactive, do you think that the security architecture as it is, I'm talking about intelligence architecture as it is the one this administration should keep? Or should there be a rejig when it comes to gathering intelligence? I'm talking about the brass now.
If Nigeria security architecture would be leveled up, it's for me, it's not in the area of intelligence gathering. Nigeria has it. They know what is going on. Even before it happens, they have a knowledge of it. It's just to jig up and be responsible. The word proactiveness is just what I would say to this. They know wherever quarter and whatever quarter an action will be coming from. So intelligence gathering is not our problem. They have the intelligence. They know the quarters. They know all the nooks and crannies that things can come out from. But being responsible and then standing up to the action or against the actions that may come against Nigerian citizens is just what we need. And then we need more of truthfulness, loyalty to this nation, not just to self, but to the nation. So it's not, we shouldn't invest anything on intelligence because we have them already. We have everything needed already. We just need the wherewithal to be proactive in terms of responding to the intelligence that we've gathered before a certain occurrence take place.
Okay, let's move on. In Borno State, unfortunately, we have 4 teenagers who had died in an explosion involving an improvised explosive device. Of course, these children picked up this device and then, of course, they exploded. What does this tell us about how aware people are? Are people really being educated? Are Nigerian citizens, especially the locals, being educated on the dangers of all of these? Especially when it comes to the areas where we have insecurity ravaging the area.
The first question that came to mind when I heard this news was, how did they have access to such explosives, being teenagers? And then if you say that our people are not that educated, I know the life we live in Lagos isn't the life they live in the north or in the middle belt. So the thing is, how do they get access to these explosives? And it's really a matter of concern to every Nigerian that if young people in Lagos cannot carry just machete or a knife in the public, if police should nail them with it, they will be arrested. And over there, they carry AK-47 and nobody challenges. and then they still have access to so many explosives, and nobody's questioning. The thing that needed to be done is just to find out how did they get access to such. Now to talk of how did it explode. So these are the things we need to. It's not that our people are not educated. Our people are educated. They know, but how come teenagers have access in Nigeria?
Okay, let me come in. Let me come in there. Let me come in there, Kweyemi.
Yes, I'm listening.
Allow me to come in. Okay, so they were not found with it. They actually picked it unknowingly from the bush. They didn't know what it was, and that's why I talked about education, because they didn't know it was. So just an annoying incident. They didn't know. They just picked it up, like thinking it was just something they could play with, and unfortunately, it was something that was deadly and it exploded. That's why I actually asked about education, because if they're educated enough, they would really know that this should not be played with. This is not something that you should actually play with. You should run away from things like this when you see things like this.
Are we saying if young people, teenagers in Lagos, find such thing, they will also play with it like they've done in that area? No, education should cut across every area, every state in this country. If you check those young people, they are not even in class. They don't have access to quality education. The school is not interesting to them. And it's not that they are not interested, it is because the states do not care about funding education and making sure the people have the knowledge that is needed. In Lagos here, or let me say in the West and part of the East, they still have basic knowledge of tools, basic knowledge of civic, social study, government, security. They do it in our colleges, in our secondary school, even in primary school, they still do security education. Is it applicable?
Actually, talking about is more of sensitization. Say, for example, you do a promo to let teenagers or children, you tell them, this is a bomb, or this is something that is deadly. When you see it, don't pick it. It might kill you. You know, stuff like that. But I don't want us to dwell on that. If we could move on to Osun State and its woes. So the Supreme Court has dismissed the suit filed by the Osun State Attorney General, Oluwole Jimmy Bada, against the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, over withheld allocations to the state's local governments. So over 6 months now, the federal government has withheld LG funds, and the state government and his family members have been the one paying local government staffers for months. The Attorney General took the case to the Supreme Court. It was struck out because the Supreme Court says the AG had no right to do it, that the local government chairmen were the ones to have done it. Some people are saying this is even more confusing than what it was before. What do you make of this whole case, Okwemi?
What I just say is Nigeria, I think sometimes in Nigeria we suspend the constitution to make our own self-interest come to pass. Because if the constitution has stipulated what does the Attorney General has to do with local government funding? How do they want the local government to survive? And then I have the knowledge now that from the federal allocation, they pay into the purse of local government directly. What is the interest of the Attorney General in the local government funding? What do they have? If we need to search the Attorney General, there is a special interest in it that made the Attorney General feel that, oh, they could do that. And then for local government chairman to come up, are the local government chairman actually representing their people? There are so many factors to consider when it as regards to this. Because the local government, if truly wants to work, local government will stand and defend its people, requesting for its funding. But if there's an Attorney General somewhere obstructing the funding of the local government, then the court should come in. Now the court is in now saying that it does not have the power. Yes, fine. If the courts can make the right judgment, the local government should have their funding and just move on. But I think for everything we do, politics is just creeping in and destroying our democracy.
Okay, thank you very much, Okwemi, for your analysis and for being a part of the news hour. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. INEC Chairman Joash Amopiton says elections succeed only when the public trusts the information they receive not technology alone. Speaking in Abuja at the presentation of the book, The INEC Press Corps, Chronicles of Nigeria's Election Journalist, Amopiton warned that even strong electoral systems can be undermined by misinformation or deliberate distortion of facts. He praised journalists for providing on-ground verification, calling the more than 100 members of the INEC Press Corps vital links between the Commission and voters. Amopiton urged reporters to verify information directly with INEC rather than relying on rumors, noting that the Commission's website and digital channels are the most reliable sources. He also called for continued collaboration to tackle vote buying, rigging, and falsehoods that could discourage voters or trigger unrest.
Well, switching some gears now, the National Broadcasting Commission is reminding broadcast executives of key provisions in the Broadcasting Code. This follows a one-day interactive session between the NBC and senior broadcasters from across Nigeria held in Abuja. Our correspondent attended the session and now reports.
The NBC held a one-day interactive session with senior broadcast practitioners in Abuja to remind them of their sacred duty of patriotism to Nigeria and as well adherence to the National Broadcasting Code. The Director General of the NBC, Charles Ebuebu, set the agenda of the meeting.
We are here to look at the emerging trends when we talk about news, the reporting in the country, and current affairs presentations, where we have been having, a few issues. We're also going to look at emerging issues in the industry, and then we need to address what needs to be done in able to address those issues and have a standard compliance record.
His counterpart at the FRCN, Mohammed Bulama, lamented the lack of knowledge of the broadcaster's responsibility that has permeated the system in recent years.
There are a lot of young people out there and then who keep coming in also, almost on a yearly basis, and like it was clearly observed, a lot of us have never even seen the broadcast court, never ever, Even in FRCN, my eyes were opened during our interview for promotion sessions. A lot of people were asked questions on the NBA court and they don't seem to know, and you will expect that in an institution like the FRCN or ATA, everybody will know that. So I think there's a very, very serious gap.
Reminded the NBC of its duty to train and retrain broadcasters.
When we were growing up in this profession, we had the benefit of regular trainings. Some of them facilitated by the NBC itself, but that appears to have disappeared. And I think it's something that we ought to look at.
Similarly, Isioma Ebo of Voice of the People, VOP Television, while commending the practitioners, emphasized the responsibility of the journalist to safeguard the oneness of the nation.
I want to also say that we are doing well in terms of reporting what is happening in Nigeria. A lot is actually happening, a lot. But just like my colleague said, if we don't have a country, there will be no radio or TV station. So we have to protect our country first.
For Ambrose Oko of Channels Television, the issues of broadcast license renewals has remained an albatross on the neck of media houses. To him, it was no longer sustainable and should be done away with as is done in other climes.
Issue of renewal of license, I thought you would have also mentioned that, because this is about one of the countries where that is still being practiced. In the US, France, in Vietnam, I can remember a few countries. There is no cost for renewal of license. And the stations are bleeding now. We don't have money.
All in all, various speakers at the event agreed that it was proper to review the National Broadcasting Code in order to accommodate emerging media trends. They also agreed that despite their different political leanings, broadcasters must think Nigeria first and have unity and peaceful coexistence while doing their jobs.
The Director General of NBC, Charles Ebuebu, agreed that the Commission would employ dialogue before punitive measures under his watch, while cautioning broadcast practitioners to be self-regulatory as responsible citizens.
When you're facing the camera, you owe a great responsibility, and you're not allowed to pass your emotions, whether you are angry about the subject or not. Nobody is not saying you should say the truth. You shouldn't say the truth, rather. It is, let it be a verified fact, not an opinion, not your anger, an expression of your anger, not an expression of what you think without verification. It is rather pleasant where you self-regulate and keep to standards, and we don't have to keep knocking on your head.
From Abuja, this is Ernest Asobwe.
Away from that, Vice President Kashim Shettima has reaffirmed the Tinubu administration's commitment to preserving Nigeria's traditional institutions, describing them as vital pillars of unity, stability and grassroots leadership. Speaking at the 45th anniversary of the Emir of Gumel, Ahmad Sani, and the commissioning of the Gumel Central Mosque in Jigawa State, the Vice President said traditional rulers remain the country's most enduring institutions. Congratulated the Emir on his 45 years on the throne, calling him a custodian of a heritage dating back to 1750, and prayed for him to celebrate both his Golden Jubilee and centenary in good health. Earlier, Governor Namandi thanked the Vice President for attending the event, describing his presence as a sign of the administration's commitment to the state's development.
Well, on the foreign scene, Pentagon officials have told diplomats that the United States wants Europe to assume the majority of NATO's conventional defense responsibilities, including intelligence and missile capabilities, by 2027. According to reports, the message, which some European officials consider unrealistic, was delivered this week in Washington during a meeting between Pentagon staff overseeing NATO policy and several European delegations. U.S. officials reportedly said Washington is not yet satisfied with Europe's efforts to strengthen its defenses since Russia's expanded invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Sources who requested anonymity said the officials warned that if Europe fails to meet the 2027 target, the U.S. may withdraw from some NATO defense coordination mechanisms.
In business, the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers has taken another major step towards strengthening professional standards. The institution held its 2025 membership induction ceremony, welcoming a new class of certified professionals into its ranks. The event brought together industry leaders, government officials, and key stakeholders in the real estate and valuation sector to celebrate the inductees who are now formally recognized to practice at the highest professional level. Our correspondent reports on the highlights of the ceremony and what this induction means for the future of Nigeria's real estate sector.
That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers.
The Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers membership induction ceremony is an official event where new entrants into the profession are formally admitted as members of the institution. New members who have completed the required training, examination, and professional interviews are officially inducted into NIESV. They earn the right to practice as professional estate surveyors and valuers in Nigeria. The event underscores NIESV's mission to enhance service delivery, improve real estate standards, and regulate professional practice across the country.
This is an event that I presided over. It is an important event in our institution. That is when we welcome new members into our institution, and I'm so happy about the quality and the number of members that we have inducted. 539 new members joined the profession. That is a big day for us, and we are happy to celebrate them.
The possible challenges is people try to know them. That okay, yes,
We are out, we're into the market, we're here to serve you. But with good sensitization and a market driven, there's no problem. The vision is to see how we can fit the market with our professional dexterity.
Like as a surveyor, I've been in this game for a very long time, for almost 40 years now or more. As you grow, you have challenges. When the number is fewer, it's easier to manage challenges, you start to control and coordinate and control. But as you grow, you see a lot of people who are not serious-minded, who are not committed, and you have to do a lot of job to remove the chaff from the grain. There are temptations. People will offer you money to give them what they want, and you do it, you get the money. Those people, when they need something that is serious, they don't cut you. But they know that you have a price. You can compromise.
You know, the real estate profession, it's a noble profession. The profession of estate surveying and valuation, it's a noble profession that has to do with service to people, and not just people, to the nation as well. And aside from that, it's a profession that integrates people. You get to deal with people and get to manage them. And at the end of the day, it's something I had passion for, and of course, I feel fulfilled getting to serve people.
Today seems to be one of the most exciting days of my profession as an estate surveyor and valuer. It's one of the moments we all look up to, a very exciting day, a day where we behold the estate profession as the bedrock of all of they have to do. The milestone of this is it is one of the basis rock as a trust, one thing we look up to as an estate surveyor and valuer.
My expectation is to see how you can bring your expertise, what you've learned, your experience over time and practice, how you can bring it in and see that professionalism is brought into this profession. Because over time we've noticed that because of lack of professionalism, the reputation of the profession has been, is something that people now doubt. So my expectation is to come into this profession fully with the weight of experience and what we've been taught during our national continuous development, and from the weight of experience of our guest speaker today, to bring them together and see how we can move the profession to the next level.
The 2025 induction ceremony of the Nigerian Institution of the Estate Surveyors and Valuers was indeed a significant milestone. It's more than celebration. It's a celebration of value, a celebration of integrity and credibility. VOP's TV Precious Agumano reporting.
Precious, thank you. Sports news now. The Nigeria Football Federation has paid tribute to Super Eagles captain William Troost Ekong, calling him a committed and humble leader following his retirement from international football. Troost Ekong announced his decision on X, thanking fans, teammates, and coaches for their support during his 10-year career with the Super Eagles. NFF Director of Communications said the Federation received the news with pride and gratitude for Ekong's decade of service. He highlighted the defender's discipline, ambition, and devotion even before he assumed the captaincy. He also praised Ekong's performances at the 2019, 2021, and 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, noting that his leadership was key to Nigerians' bronze and silver medal finishes.
And finally, in entertainment, Nigerian music icon Tubaba has raised concerns over what he calls a campaign by some family members and associates to tarnish his image, sabotage his relationships, and portray him as mentally unstable. In a video shared online, the veteran singer said the situation had escalated beyond normal family disagreement. Tubaba alleged that the same interference that affected his marriage to Annie Dibia is now targeting his partner, Natasha, who he says has received death threats. He expressed frustration that those claiming to help him are instead putting him and Natasha at risk.
Well, we do hope that Two-Face is able to sort out his marital crisis. On that note, we wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndumdioto.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice.